Hello and welcome to my channel In Search of Wonder. This is my reading plan of sorts for August. I'm going to use reading plan very loosely because for a variety of reasons I feel like I am all at sea and I have no idea what is going on in August in my life or in my reading life or anything. I actually debated whether or not I should even make this a video, but in the end I decided to because one, I always like to have a plan even if I don't stick to the plan, even if the plan doesn't end up making sense and I change it drastically. I like to have a plan. I always like to have a plan going into my month to give me a little bit of structure. So I need to have a plan of some kind, however it is. And also, I do want to mention a couple of reading challenges that I am participating in this month. Most of them are ongoing, and some of them are only summer ones, etc. But I just wanted to mention them for the month of August. So we'll just go through it. And this is by no means a guarantee that these are the books I will be reading this month. Who knows what we'll get to, if anything. Where's my list? To begin with. Seriously. Okay, found my list. A side note, my husband found when we were cleaning out a room in preparation for doing all the renovations that we were doing last week, my husband found this really cool phone tripod that he had tucked away somewhere in all of his stuff in our room. And he was like, oh, hey, you might be able to use this. And I was like, oh, hey, I bet I could. So I have a handy dandy little tripod, well, like regular size tripod, which makes setting up over here in this corner so much easier. Anywhere I film, it will make it so much easier to film at the right height. Something I've very much struggled with. So I'm very thankful that he found that. And I discovered that while I was setting everything up, on my phone has a special setting called the selfie video highlight or something like that. And I don't even need the ring light. Like, it's perfect. Although it does make it look like I have gray hairs here. They aren't gray, I promise. They're not. They're just highlighted today by the light, you know? Anyway, so my reading plans for August. To begin with, the Tea and Ink Society, which is a reading challenge that I participate in outside of YouTube throughout the year. They are reading a children's classic, any children's classic, for the month of August, and I picked Five Little Peppers. You may remember that I hauled this a little while ago. On my birthday, my sister gave this vintage copy to me for my birthday, and I love it. I do believe the green cover indicates that it is made with arsenic, so I don't know if I'm supposed to like read this with gloves or what. I don't know, but whatever. I'm going to read Five Little Peppers and How They Grew because I have never read it as far as I know. For the Read Your Shelf Challenge, which I think everybody is familiar with Chantel's challenge, at least most of you are, I will link to it in the box below. For the month of August, I could go either direction because both prompts in July were to read a short story collection. So going forward, I can take either track, either the Lucy Maud Montgomery or the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And the Lucy Maud Montgomery prompt was to have water on the cover, and the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle prompt was to have a house on the cover. I had difficulty finding a book of my own with either of those on the cover, except for this one. And honestly, when you look real close, it might actually be a barn, but we're not going to look real close. Okay, because we don't have any other options. So we're going with this. It's a house on the cover. But somebody painted a flag on this side, but it's still a house, okay? So this is a house on the cover. I got this, I picked it up thrift store or something somewhere along the way in the past year. And my sister had read it and really liked it. And so I was curious to read it myself. And recent events make me think that I should bump this up the priority list a little bit and maybe get it ready before November because that would be like a good citizen and everything. So gonna read that one. And then for Big Book Summer, I am hoping to have Les Miserables finished by the end of July, which would be one of the big books that I plan to read this summer. But the other one that I really want to finish this summer, and I want to use the big book summer to give me a push to finish it, is And the Dead Shall Rise by Steve Oney. If you have not heard me mention this in the past, this is a true crime story. It's not a story. This is not written as a novel or anything. It's investigating the true crime and the subsequent trials, of which there have been several, that happened in Atlanta, Georgia in the early 20th century. A young girl was killed, murdered, and there were a couple of suspects, and the one who was accused of the crime and charged with the crime, and the jury found him guilty, was a Jewish man, and he ended up being lynched and hung. And after his, actually, I think subsequently, he wasn't fully pardoned, but his verdict was stayed until more investigation could be done, because there was question whether or not he was truly guilty. There was a lot of issues going on in this case, like racial issues particularly were at the forefront. And all of the different factions of society and culture in Atlanta were all pushing for their point of view to be presented or to have sway, to hold the day. And so it's still, to this day, very difficult to determine which of the evidence is trustworthy and which is not. A lot of stuff was going on. So it's very interesting, but it's very dense as well. It's full of information. This book is full of information. I'm about this far in it, and it's interesting every time I sit down to read it. It's just very dense, so I can't read a lot at one time. And also there are times when it's really heavy reading. It's not emotionally easy to read, you know. So that's for Big Book Summer. And then I am also planning to do a buddy read, either in, we haven't 100% decided, but either in August or September with Kelly at Kelly Reads a Lot. We're going to read a Gaskell novel today together. And I'm not 100% sure either which novel. As the time I'm filming this, we're still discussing exactly. I believe Kelly has only read Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell, if I'm not mistaken. I read most of her novels, but it's been a very long time since I've read North and South or Mary Barton. And so I need to reread both of those. And I have never read Sylvia's Lovers or Ruth, so I would want to read one of those. So I think in the end it will be one of those 4 books, but I am leaving the final choice up to Kelly, so we will see what she ends up picking and what we read in August, probably, or possibly September. And then for Beautiful Minutia's summer book bingo, I have quite a few empty spaces left. I don't necessarily need to fill the whole thing. I just want to get a few bingos, which I should be able to. I think I may already have 1 or 2 actually, which I should be able to do, but I just want to get as many as I can. But I have suggestions for each of the remaining prompts so that I can fit however many of them in the month as I can. So these are all kind of like optional, but books that I do want to read in any case. First one, the prompt is a place I'd like to visit that I have not yet read. And I'm going to go with this one, Jane Austen's First Love, which is one that I'm hoping I may actually finish in July. So it may not end up being on my August TBR, but we'll see. This is a fictional account of Jane Austen and her first love based on true information, but there's not much information. So a lot of it's conjecture. So this, I really have been wanting to read since my sister gave it to me. And that would fit that prompt because, oh yes, I would totally love to visit England. I mean, I have, but I want to go again. And then a second chance book. Now, the way I'm interpreting this, because there aren't really any books that I personally own that I read or tried to read and gave up on or didn't like. If I didn't like it, I got rid of it. If I DNF'd it without intending to read it again, I also got rid of it. So I don't actually own any, and I'm trying to really stick with books that I own. So the way I interpret this prompt is a book that I keep putting on my TBR and just haven't yet. And so this is another chance for me to read that book. And that is Listening Valley by D. Stevenson, which I really want to read. I do. I just, other things that keep cropping up is more important in the moment, I guess, than this one. But I do. I want to read Actually, I want to read a lot by her because I'm hearing that she's a really fantastic author, and it seems like her books are books that I would really enjoy. So I keep putting this on this list, giving it another chance, and I will read it eventually. One of these months. It's going to be that month. And then as far as a graphic novel, which is another prompt that I need to fill for the summer book bingo, I don't own any, so I'm going to go to the library. My library has a decent collection of classics that are in graphic novel format, which is kind of fun. I saw that they have Dracula, which I've never actually read the classic, but I kind of think it would be fun to read the graphic novel and then maybe this fall read the actual novel, because that's definitely on my TBR. Or I could just read a fun graphic novel for a book I've already read, like Pride and Prejudice, which they have. And they have a variety of other classics in graphic novel format, which is what I'm leaning towards. I saw a couple other possibilities of other books that were books first, but then this is like the graphic novel version of them. That could be interesting. So we'll see what I actually end up with, but those are the options I'm leaning towards at the moment. Kind of all depends on what the library has when I go there. Ooh, sorry about that. Speaking of the library, a library book is another prompt, and I want to get to this one sooner or later because I'm not sure how much longer I can keep it from the library, and that is I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetys. This was for May, I believe, for the book club at Protagonist Pub, and I wanted to read it then, but I couldn't get it from my library. It was like 8 weeks out or something, so I finally got it like in the middle of June, and what was July maybe? It was July. Maybe this was the book for June and I ended up getting it in July, I think. Anyway, but I don't know what month it is. It's the summer or something, you know, whatever. Anyways, I didn't get it until well after the month that it was supposed to be read in. And I still haven't gotten to it because I've been busy with things and life. But I do want to read this before the library starts sending me nasty emails. Escapism is another prompt. So I feel like this qualifies. In Search of a Prince by Toni Shiloh, which I have been wanting to read since it came out. I heard great things about it as a fun read, and I think it would be perfect for a summer beach type of read. So I want to read that one. And then this one requires a little bit of explanation. The prompt is a booktuber recommendation. And this particular book, I don't specifically remember being recommended by any booktubers, but this author has been recommended by quite a few of the booktubers that I follow as being a fantastic author for clean, romantic, rom-com books, that sort of thing. Or romances. I'm not sure they're always rom-com, but definitely romance novels, contemporary romance, which is not my favorite genre, but so many people have been talking about her and some of her recent books that her name got on my radar, and I thought, okay, well, I'll give her a try. And in particular, I know recently I watched a video by Katie at Paperbacks and Ponytails where she vlogged reading, I think, 3 books by this author. So this particular title has not been recommended to me, but the author has, and that's why I picked it up at a thrift store, because these booktubers had been mentioning her name. And that is Happiness for Beginners by Katherine Center. So if you know anything about this particular book by Katherine Center, please let me know if it's a good place to start with her or not. And I am curious to read it. It seems like a road trip kind of story, so that would be interesting. And then a short story is another one of the prompts, which dovetails nicely with the short stories prompt for Chantal Reads All Day. So this is another one that I'm hoping I can get to before August, or at least early into August before we start, you know, real August. Anybody else do that? I thought I had it over here, but I don't see it. That is Flower Fables by Louisa May Alcott. And it is a collection of short stories that Louisa May Alcott wrote for children when she was pretty young herself. So that fits for that prompt and won't take long to read. So that should be an easy one. And then a cozy mystery. I have seen a few people categorize this one as a cozy mystery. Tell me if that's accurate or not, because I've only read 1 or 2 cozy mysteries in the past. It's not really a genre that draws me, that interests me. But it's not like I hate it or anything. It's just not something that I think of to read, or that, and And this cover doesn't scream cozy mystery to me, but many people describe it as such. And it kind of sounds like it has a bit of that vibe, but I don't really know. And that is the Thursday Murder Club. Again, this is another BookTube recommendation that I picked up because I heard people talk about it on BookTube. I wasn't really familiar with it before. Like I said, mystery as a whole, as a genre, is not my favorite. And cozy mystery in particular, just, I don't know, wasn't my thing. Not that I hate it or I feel like, oh no, I would never read it. Cozy mystery. It just, I don't know, just wasn't like my favorite or anything. But this one seemed like it would be a fun one to read. So, and then nature, I'm doubling up here with one of my other prompts. I'm going to go with this because 5 Little Peppers and how they grew. That's all about nature right now. I know it's about children. Okay, I know that, but children are nature too, right? But peppers and growing. Nature. It's totally nature. Look at all the flowers on the cover. And then a Buzzy read for a lifetime, which I actually had loosely put on my July TBR, but did not get to. So yeah, there are a couple of other book club events happening on BookTube that I would love to get to. I wanted to get to the Ice Swan by Ciesielski in July for Protagonist Pub's book club, and I didn't. So I would like to get to that again. And then they've just picked the new book for August, which I don't remember offhand what it was, but I kind of would like to read that as well. And then also Old American Spirit is running a summer book club, and she is going to have one as well. So, which I believe the next theme is going to be Regency, if I am tracking correctly here. So I love Regency, so I would love to get on board with that one, but we'll see. How many of those that I get to. The other reading challenge that I want to participate in to the extent that I can is Ketchupathon, which is organized by Books and Jams. And the fun thing about this one is the way they're doing it this year, you build your own cookout by the prompts. And so each category has multiple different prompts that you can choose from to kind of build your cookout the way you want it. You'll understand in a second if you don't already know how this works. I just want to mention that originally their concept was to finish up reading books of the month, if you're in the book of the month club. But I am not in the book of the month club. This, however, is a great way for me to read the books on my shelf, which is one thing I'm really focusing on in the month of August, reading from my shelf. So that's what we're going for here. So there are several categories. The location for your cookout, the guests that will be there, the meat you will serve, the sides you will serve, the dessert, and the games that you will play. And for each of those categories, there are several prompts that you can choose from. So you don't do all of them, you choose one of them. So for the location, you can choose backyard, park, or beach. And I think I'm gonna go with backyard because I had multiple books that fit this prompt. And the idea is to read a book that's set in your own country or your own state. I didn't have any set in my own state of Virginia, but I did have many set in the country. United States. Hillbilly Elegy, first of all, and The Dead Shall Rise, set in Georgia. Happiness for Beginners is Road Trip Across the United States. I think they end up in Wyoming. So at least those 3. I think there are others in my TBR that would qualify as being set in the United States. And then your guests could be family, friends, or neighbors. And for family, the book should have a family focus. And so the 5 Little Peppers. It's a family, little family of peppers. And then a friends one, I also picked the Thursday Murder Club because I believe that is about a group of friends. So I could do either one of those. We'll see which one ends up being read. Probably 5 Little Peppers. I don't know. I don't know which one I'm going to read. But anyways, either one of them would fit with that category. And then for meat, I have several options for historical fiction, which goes with burgers and dogs. So that's what I'm serving at my cookout, burgers and dogs. And I have several options. So if I even read just one of these, that qualifies for that prompt. And that is I Must Betray You, Listening Valley, and Jane Austen's First Love. Then for the sides, there are 6 options. And I have books that fill prompts for 3 of them. So the first one is Pasta Salad, which requires multiple points of view. And For a Lifetime by Gabrielle Meyer is one that has at least 2 points. Well, I know it has 2 points of view. I don't know if it doesn't have more than that. It just has 2. So that's not really multiple, I guess, but it's more than one. So, and then Chips being the shortest book, Flower Fables by Louisa May Alcott is a very short little book, so that qualifies for that. And then Mac and Cheese has 2 people on the cover, and the only one that I had in my TBR for this month was For Lifetime by Gabrielle Meyer, which has 2 people on the cover. So, and then for dessert, you have free choice, a book that doesn't fit anywhere else. So any of the other books that I have in my TBR would work for that one. For example, On the Dead Shall Rise doesn't really fit any of the other prompts, so that one could go there. And I give me another motivation to finish that book. And then this is the fun part. I love when there are activity prompts as well in these reading challenges. I don't always get to them, but I think it's a fun concept. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different activity ideas. And if you do one of them, that game is cornhole. If you do 2 of them, that game is bocce ball. And if you do 3, that's volleyball. So we'll see how many of these I get to, but these are fun prompts. One is to review a book of the month book, which I don't have book of the month, so I can just review a book, which I do anyway. So, you know, that's easy. And then reading outside, which is a fun idea. And then do try a chapter. So I love to do try a chapter, especially if I'm struggling to decide between books. So I might do that one. Participate in reading sprints, which is fun. I enjoy doing that. Feature a book of the month book on Instagram, or could do another feature on Instagram, and then buddy read. So I'm hoping to do a buddy read in August, so that one will fit with that prompt. So that is the Ketchupathon 2024, which will help me with my goals of reading more books from my actual shelf. And I am very excited about that. So those are my plans for August. Before I go, I did want to share a little bit of a July haul, because I don't have anywhere else to put it at the moment. Because I want to put these books away, honestly. And yeah. So first of all, I already showed you this one, Happiness for Beginners by Katherine Center. This was a thrift store find. And then also at the same thrift store, All My Secrets by Lynn Austen, which is a Christian author that many people speak up as being one of their favorite Christian authors. I've only read 1 book by her, I believe, but I really did like it a lot. So I'm looking forward to reading that one. And then I had a little free library yesterday. So all summer, I should say, I have been slowly going through my bookshelves, getting rid of books and isolating the books I haven't read yet and putting them in their own places within each category so that I can see more easily what I have that I need to read. I've not finished yet. I still have to work on the fiction section, which will be the largest and the most difficult, but I have been getting rid of so many books. So I have been visiting all the different little free libraries in town and dropping off my book blessings along the way and picking up anything. If there's anything interesting, I have gotten rid of way more than I have picked up. Don't you worry. So I picked up this one yesterday at a little free library, If I Run by Terry Blackstock. And I believe that there is a Keep Me in Suspense readathon happening in August. And I am not 100% sure at this precise moment who is organizing it, because I forget. Anyways, I will put that in the description box. But anyways, this one would qualify for that, and I've heard nothing but good things. I don't read a lot of suspense, but this one is one that a lot of people rave about when they read it. So the bad thing is I only have the first book, and my understanding is you're going to want to read the second and the third one all at the same time, because it's a little bit suspenseful and it doesn't quite let up anywhere until the very end. So I only have the first one. So we'll see what happens with that, if I actually get to that or not. And then the other books are books from my trip that I took recently. The first one is Sisu and Finding Your Resilience the Finnish Way. This was in Fargo, North Dakota. And I guess I didn't realize that North Dakota was just like Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Upper Peninsula of Michigan was largely settled by Scandinavian immigrants. So that whole northern swath of the country is where they tended to settle when they came to the States. And so there's a huge Scandinavian community in Fargo, North Dakota, and it has influenced the culture in a variety of ways. So there is a Scandinavian gift shop in downtown Fargo, and so I was very excited about quite a few things. This is a book that was really cute. So sisu is a Finnish word, and it's a concept that doesn't really have a comparable English word. You might use the word grit, not the food, not grits, but grit, like someone has grit, like they have sticking power, they have determination, they have inner self-motivation, and they're able to withstand and endure, that sort of thing. That's kind of the idea. So this book is all about celebrating sisu and how to find it, and it has pictures from Finland in it, and short little paragraph essays about various aspects of sisu. Stubbornness being a prominent one. I can promise you my family has that in spades. Agility, attention, etc. Anyway, so this was a fun book with a nod to my heritage. And then in De Smet, South Dakota, which you may have seen the video earlier this week of my adventures there in the little town on the prairie, I picked up this at the Loftus store. This is Laura, the life of Laura Ingalls Wilder, author of The Little House on the Prairie. And I think that this is a vintage story. It looks like it was written maybe in the 60s or something. 1976 is when this was published. Kind of at the beginning of the heyday, or all around the heyday of the Laura Ingalls Wilder TV series, and you know, the books being so popular and everything. So I'm curious to read that biography. And then when we went to the Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum in Missouri a couple years ago, I picked up a hardback copy of Little House on the Prairie. And then here in De Smet, South Dakota, I picked up a beautiful hardback copy of Little Town on the Prairie. So now I have two of these, and they both have special memories for me attached because of where I was when I picked them up. So this is Newbery Honor Book Award. And I just love this cover with the illustrations by Garth, what was his last name? Garth Williams, who was actually the second person to illustrate her books, but by and large, people's favorite illustrator. So anyway, that is my little haul of books that I picked up in July along the way. I have gotten rid of significantly more than that, so I'm pretty proud of that. All right, so that is everything that I have for the month of August coming up. And I look forward to hearing from you what you are planning and hoping to read in August, how your reading plans are going. Are you going into August with a plan at all, or are you just winging it and reading as your mood dictates? Just let me know. And I will see you next time. Bye.